Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 best-selling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, sign up for my newsletter to receive more information about natural healing. Now, our guest today is in Japan. Junko Terayama is a professional aromatherapist, therapeutic energy kinesiology practitioner, and living tree orchid essence distributor in Japan. Welcome, Junko.
Hello, Catherine.
And will you give everyone your website?
My website is healingorchid.jp.
And that's Healing Orchid, singular or plural?
Yeah, it's singular. Healing Orchid, singular.
Okay, healingorchid.jp. Okay, so Junko, what is aromatherapy?
Aromatherapy is a very relaxing, balancing therapy which uses essential oils. And we balance mind and body at the same time. And the essential oils are from aromatic plants, flowers and trees and herbs, fruit peels and so on. And they have beautiful aromas, and each aroma goes into our brain through our limbic system and directly affects to our mind and mood and feelings. And also essential oils have got the chemical constituents, and they are absorbed via our skin and goes into our body. And so we approach mind and body balancing at the same time.
Okay, and now essential oils are similar but different from flower essences. What are flower essences?
The flower essences are the spirit of the flowers, and it is the energy. Flower essences do not have any aromatic chemicals in it. It is just an energy in the bottle.
Right. And for our audience, I would explain that essential oils are, for the most part, not always, but generally used topically on the body, and flower essences, for the most part, are taken internally, although you can put them in the bath, right?
Yep.
But they're, for the most part, they're all created from flowers. So, Junko, you and I both use essential oils and flower essences extensively in our practice.
Mm-hmm.
For our audience, how do you use aromatherapy, and how do you use flower essences?
All right. Yes. Sometimes my clients come for the aromatherapy treatment. Sometimes people come to me for the flower essences, but some people want both. So in that case, I use both for my clients. And the way I do is I give a consultations first, and I choose the essential oils for them and then blend them. And I choose the flower essences also. But the flower essence I use is from a living tree orchid essences. And they are enhancers, also remedies. And so I choose one flower essence for their complaints, and I blend them and check them if they're okay to use for my clients with the kinesiology technique. And then I blend everything and I give a treatment. That's how I works.
Okay, so for our audience out there, many of our audience are going to be holistic practitioners, and we all use flower essences and essential oils in a little different way. And what I do, I have charts that I use in my practice. So if I'm doing actual healing work, I'm going to determine specific acupressure points where I'm going to recommend the client place essential oils. And these acupressure points are going to be unique to you. Sometimes they're on the face or the head, and sometimes they're on the body or chakras, the energy vortexes of the chakras. And so I'm going to, for the most part, I'm going to be recommending essential oils, again, topically on the body, although some oils like peppermint can be taken internally. And also on the feet. Essential oils are very, very helpful and effective when you're practicing reflexology on the feet, and sometimes also on the hands. And then with flower essences, when I'm working with clients to clear emotional, mental, and spiritual patterns, flower essences are vibrational remedies, and they're going to help resolve long-term issues. So sometimes a client will come to see me and they'll need a few drops of a flower essence only once when I'm treating them. But sometimes I'll recommend that they take the flower essence for a period of time, a couple of weeks or up to 6 months. And when you need a flower essence for 6 months or longer, that qualifies as what's referred to as a constitutional remedy. So what's a constitutional remedy? So Junko and I are both very nice people, but we have different personalities. So as one of my clients once put it, this is about balancing your evil twin, or the unresolved aspects of your ego. So when you need a flower essence for 6 or more months, it has to do with core issues in your personality that you may have been dealing with your entire life. So for the most part, when you take flower essences, and I've got several here on my desk from the Living Tree Orchid essences. So Junko and I are both raving fans of the Living Tree Orchid essences, which we're going to be talking about. When you take flower essences, you take them directly, usually under the tongue. And there's an acupuncture point directly under the tongue, and when the flower essence goes there, it spreads to the entire acupuncture system. So for the most part, you're going to take 2 to 4 drops of a flower essence directly under the tongue, or you can put 2 to 4 drops in your water bottle. And I'm speaking generally, because sometimes a flower essence may be so powerful for you, you only, again, need it once. But you can put them in your water bottle and take them frequently throughout the day. Flower essences, in order to work, you do need to take them frequently because they're vibrational remedies. So Junko,
Yeah.
could you explain for our audience what is a vibrational remedy? How would you describe a vibrational remedy?
Vibrational remedies vibrates with our own vibrations, and it makes our gyroscope, the energy spins faster, so that if we have lower speed of the vibrations, and if it's not healthy state, then the vibrational remedies helps to spin faster again, and that makes us better again.
Yeah. And again, it's really interesting to talk to other natural healing practitioners about how they think about these things. Another way to think about vibrational remedies is that the way that I look at it, if I'm doing a medical intuitive reading, there's layers of your field. There's your physical body, you know what that is, your bones, your muscles, your organ systems. And And then there's your energy body, which includes your acupuncture system, the chakras, and the breath. There's the emotional body. The emotional body is the largest part of you. There's your mental body, which is your thoughts and beliefs. And finally, there's your spiritual body, which is the eternal aspect of yourself, also sometimes referred to as your soul. And it's very important to understand that when you are suffering dis-ease or illness of any kind, disease or illness begins in your energy field and comes into your physical. So by the time that you are experiencing physical symptoms, physical dis-ease, you have this illness has gone through the layers of your energy field. And the vibrational remedies are going to be working on these outer layers. They're going to be working on the emotional, mental, spiritual, and energetic aspects of you to bring those into balance. So it's literally resolving the core issues in your energy field so that you could resolve the physical issues. So it's really amazing to understand how sometimes these little bottle of flower essences or essential oils can have such a profound impact on our physical well-being. So, Junko, can you give an example from your own practice of maybe a client that you treated with essential oils and or flower essences who resolved significant physical issues as a result of using these vibrational remedies?
Right. Recently, I had one client. She works in the office, and she has got a very stressful office work. And since we live in a very stressful society, she was very stressful. And she had lots of tensions around necks and shoulders and back. And so she came to me and asked me to work on that. And so I chose ylang ylang and lemongrass and black pepper. And also I chose white beauty for her. And the aromatic part, the ylang ylang relaxes her mind very well. And lemongrass and black pepper eases her muscle tensions and relaxes her muscles and bodies. And then I add white beauty flower essence, which is here. Yeah. And white beauty gives us a very good, refreshing, but also relaxing qualities at the same time. And it works. And when I checked all the blends with her muscles and to test, and then the result was very good. So I blended all of these, and I gave her the full body massage. And after that, she felt so good and went home. And 2 or 3 days later, she came back to me just to pick up some flower essences. And she said the treatment I gave shifted her energies, and she felt so good after that. And so she could go back to her office as usual, and she was feeling good, and so she was very happy with that treatment on that day. So that was a really good case recently.
Now, I have an example of using a flower essence to treat a physical pain. About 2 years ago, I was having extreme wrist pain, and I muscle tested myself about what would resolve it, and it was a flower essence. It wasn't one of the living tree orchid essences, but it was another flower essence because I use essences from all over the world. So I used this flower essence, and my wrist pain went completely away.
Oh, wow.
And then what was really interesting, because there was a huge emotional aspect. So as I talk about in my book, the difference between pain and suffering, we have to understand that there's a huge emotional component to physical pain. So what was interesting in that case was I got to the end of the bottle of the flower essence and I thought, oh, I must be done by now. And a couple of days after the flower essence, I was finished with that, the pain came back. So I haven't resolved the issue completely. So I took a second bottle of it, and by that time, the pain had completely gone, which was really interesting. So now, Junko, I know that you're very highly trained in aromatherapy. You went to the Tisserand Institute in London in 1997 to learn holistic aromatherapy.
Yeah.
And you are a member of the International Federation of Professional Aromatherapists in the UK, but even though you're working in Kobe, Japan. What are your favorite aromatherapy essential oils?
Oh, I like rose otto the best. Rose is my favorite. It relaxes our mind, and it is very, what to say, it's a heart balancer actually. So I can use it anytime I want, and it's good for our woman hormone balance. And yeah, it is really a woman helper, I think.
Now, if you could recommend, in everyone's home, we have first aid. So, for example, we may have Band-Aids and, aspirin. What are the top essential oils that you feel that people should have in their home and the core emotional issues or core issues they help resolve?
Oh, sorry, what is the question?
Okay, what are the most common essential oils that you recommend that people have in their home to use on a regular basis?
Oh, okay. Maybe lavender is very easy to use. It's good for skin problems, and also the smell of lavender relaxes our mind. So it is good to smell after a long, busy day before bed, and you can sleep well. And also, let's see, in winter time, actually, maybe eucalyptus is good to have home because it kills all the germs in the air. So, and we don't want any flu germs in the air in our home. So it's good to use eucalyptus to vibrate in the room. And yeah, maybe these two would be the easiest one to have, I think.
Right. Now, some people use essential oils in their home environment in feng shui, for example, with diffusers. So are there any particular essential oils that you recommend to diffuse in your environment?
You mean the feng shui wise?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe frankincense. It's very cleansing. And yes, if you want to cleanse the air, I mean the space, maybe frankincense, and lavender is also good. Yes. Well, in Japan, people like to cleanse the energies, and so yeah, these two would work very well.
Okay. Now, for our audience, I'm going to go over a couple of really common essential oils and some of the emotions that they help to resolve. So, eucalyptus that Junko mentioned is really great for helping to heal colds and sinus congestion, but it also helps to release stress and fear of bondage. Frankincense crosses the blood-brain barrier, as do all the essential oils, but it's really good for resolving feelings of worthlessness. Ginger, a lot of people know that ginger is an anti-inflammatory, but there's also ginger essential oil, and that helps resolve fear of lack. I personally like to recommend helichrysum for any clients who have scars. So, for example, if you have surgery and you go to the doctor and they leave a scar on your body, you can use helichrysum to heal the scars. And it's really important to heal the scars because wherever you've been cut, whether it's from surgery or by an accident, then the nerves that go to that area don't work as well. So what I recommend that you do is get helichrysum and rub on the scar, both vertically and horizontally. Have you used helichrysum for healing scars?
Sometimes, yes.
Are there other essential oils that you use for healing scars?
Healing scars, I would use lavender, and neroli is also good. And it's good for stretch marks as well if they're pregnant, after pregnancy. And frankincense is very good for skin also. Yeah.
And going back to the emotions that these essential oils help to resolve, jasmine helps to resolve feelings of being unworthy and fear of being used. Again, lavender is very great for calming the mind and is great for resolving fear of unfoldment, fear of criticism, and fear of abandonment. Lemon essential oil helps to resolve sadness and frustration and fear of being left behind, fear of detachment, remorse, regret, self-blame. Marjoram, which we use sometimes, we use marjoram in our cooking. Marjoram essential oil resolves fear of not being fulfilled. And myrrh, you know, at this time of year, in Christmas, we talk about the three wise men, one of whom brought myrrh, and myrrh helps to resolve fear of facing the world. Peppermint is really great for resolving digestive problems, and on an emotional level helps to resolve fear of restriction, fear of dependence, and fear of failure. And again, rose oil, like Junko mentioned, Junko, we have something in common. That's our favorite oil. And that helps to balance your heart chakra. It helps to keep your heart open. I personally like orange essential oil. Orange essential oil is a natural antidepressant and helps to keep your second chakra open. And Lang Lang helps to resolve fear of wisdom. And white angelica helps resolve loneliness and disharmony. So again, we can use these essential oils to help resolve emotional patterns, just like we can use the flower essences. Now, what is your special approach? Because I know what's unique about your work is that you're integrating and using both the essential oils and the flower essences. How did you come to develop your method of combining these?
I first learned aromatherapy in London, and but at the same time, I felt something more I needed. And so I started looking for something else to add on. And then I came to the flower essences. And at first I didn't really blend those two, but I started with the Bach flower essences, and Bach remedies has got the body map. And then I started using them according to the body map, and and I thought, it works really well. And then when we apply on our skin, I thought, I apply the oils also. So I thought, maybe I can add those. But Bach remedies are good only for small areas. But I give treatment with the whole body. So I started looking for something else, and then one day the orchid essences came to me, and I started blending them, and it works really well because the orchid essences has got lots of enhancers effect, and then which means the oil I blend will be enhanced with the light of the orchids. So I asked someone to give a massage with that blend on my back, and then I felt really good, and I felt it's different from just the essential oil blends. So I started blending orchid essences and essential oils, and then that's how I came. And also I have learned kinesiology in Tisserand, but about 7 years ago, I came to take therapeutic energy kinesiology with Dr. Adrian Brito Babapule, and he taught me how to test with the shadow point, and I thought that is very important to do it. And so nowadays I test everything with the shadow point, and I test everything with the muscle testing, and then make sure the material we use is good for us.
Okay, and I want to clarify for our audience some of the points that Junko was talking about. So the Bach flower remedies are probably the most famous flower essences in this day and age. They were developed by Dr. Edward Bach in England in the 1920s. And I have a set of Bach flowers, but like Junko, I rarely use those. They're not my go-to flower essences, because if you think about it, vibrational remedies need to respond to current vibration. And there are many things that I personally love about the orchid remedies developed by Don Dennis at healingorchids.com. But one of them is that he's always continuing to develop new orchid essences to help address the issues that we in current vibration are dealing with. So again, the Bach flowers they definitely address common personality issues that we all face as human beings, but they were developed in the 1920s, and we're in 2017, 2018. It's a different era. And the body map that Junko was talking about, can you explain a little bit more for our audience about what is the body map? But basically, it's about putting the flower essences, the Bach flowers, on specific body areas. Can you share a little bit more about the body map?
There's a book called Body Map of the Bach remedies, and it shows us a specific small areas which links with the remedies. And even a palm, each small area is different with the remedies. And so if we have a pain here, we look at the map, and the map tells us which remedy to go with this point. And so we just apply it, and then maybe the pain will be gone.
Yeah, isn't that cool? And the way I like to think about it is that our whole body is like one big hologram. I mean, if you tell me your neck hurts, that I'm thinking about the muscles, I'm thinking about the acupuncture meridians, I'm thinking about the emotions. And like Junko said, it's quite interesting when you can apply an essential oil onto your body topically, or a flower essence, and resolve pain. It's really, really interesting. It gives you a whole new perspective about what's really happening when you're not feeling well. Now, Junko, I know that you and I both are big fans of the Living Tree orchid essences, and you're a distributor for them in Japan. Why do you especially love the orchid essences?
Because orchids are one of the first plants on the earth, and yes, and then the orchid essences are the spirit of the orchids, and the orchids has got Davic energy with their own voice. and they are also strongly connected to the universe. So the vibration is really, really high compared to the other fluorescences. And it works dramatically, very speedy, and it works really fast. And when I first used it, I was just surprised, amazed how fast it works, and it's very powerful. And so since then, I am a fan of the orchid essences.
Yeah, and that's another thing. In addition to the fact that we both, our favorite essential oil is rose, our favorite flower essences are the living tree orchid essences. What I would say about it, anybody who knows me or visited my website, catherinecarrigan.com, you know that I collect orchids and grow orchids. And orchids are the most evolved flowers on the face of the earth. So they're very, very spiritual. For example, versus ferns. So ferns are pretty much the same as they were at the time of the dinosaurs, you know? So, but but orchids keep evolving. And the other thing, many people are familiar with their 7 primary chakras, or they've heard about that. But the orchid essences developed by Don Dennis help to open and balance chakras all the way up to 26. So I feel they're very helpful in clearing our energy field, opening our intuition, and really helping us to connect very, very deeply to our soul guidance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And what's your experience, Junko, in using the orchid essence with yourself and your clients? Do you feel that these orchid essences help us to be more intuitive or more in tune with our soul guidance?
Oh, yes, definitely. To my understanding, changing energy means change our mind. So people started looking things in a different way, and people will be aware what is the meaning of this event and things. And so I've been using orchid essences for maybe 10 years in Japan. And my clients, their mind have changed quite a lot. And they started seeing their own shadows at the same time. And it is a very big difference.
Yeah, so the orchid essences are extremely uplifting. So again, once you understand that all illness or dis-ease is slowed down vibration, you want to use the most high vibration remedies possible. And I really can't think, personally speaking, of any natural healing remedies that are more high vibration than the orchid essences. Can you?
Mm. Yeah. I totally agree on that.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're the highest vibration essences. And, you know, people talk about, for example, Esther Hicks of Abraham Hicks talks about setting your vibration and, you know, starting your day as uplifted as possible. Well, when you're using the orchid essences, you're opening and balancing your upper chakras. So that is really, really possible. Now, so when you use the orchid essences, you talked about the shadow point. So I want you to share with our audience a little bit more about the shadow point. Just for the reference for the audience listening, it's on the right, on your right temple is where a kinesiologist is going to test. But the shadow is a concept that the psychologist Carl Jung talked about. And can you explain to our audience, Junko, how do you see the shadow and why is it so important to resolve shadow issues for people to heal?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, shadow is the word Carl Gustav Jung told us long time ago. And he told us that there are 2 sides in this world, light side and dark side. And the dark side is called shadow. And we, the human beings, we are a part of the universe, and we have light and dark also. And talking about our darkness, it is maybe our anger or jealousy or ego, or maybe sadness, the weak, the weakness. And it is called inner shadow because it's in us. And darkness and shadow disturbs light, but we want to live with the light. So we don't want to activate our shadows, and but it happens. And so we don't want to activate our shadows. We have to be very careful with our mind and how to think. And sometimes the ingredients and the materials triggers and stimulates and activates our shadow. That's what I learned with therapeutic and kinesiology study. And so I don't want to choose the essential oils or flower essences which affects or triggers someone's shadow. And so I always test if that essences or essential oils do not affect on my client's shadow. And this is a very new way of looking at things, and maybe this is a very new way to approach in the therapy field. But I think this is very important to do it.
Now, as I recall, Carl Jung said the only way to live in the light is by constantly being aware of where your shadow is. So another way to think about, if your shadow's in charge, that's like your evil twin being in charge. And you want your higher self to be in charge. And I always explain to my clients, you are a spiritual being having an experience as a human, and your soul is going to win. I always joke, God, if you will, the universe is only has to hit you over the head when you're not paying attention. And when you're paying attention, you can get a nudge on the shoulder and know that your higher self, your soul, is guiding you in a certain direction. And it's only when we have tremendous amount of resistance that, from our shadow, that we fail to listen at the soul level. Now, one of the living tree orchid essences that help us to deal with our shadow is called Shadow Warrior. Can you explain, Junko, for our audience, how do you use Shadow Warrior?
Okay. Yes. Before I check clients' essential oils and things with the muscle testing, I always ask. I always ask their shadow with the shadow points, and if it's active, I corrected it first, so that their mind becomes normal. I mean, not shadow activates state. And then after that, I take all the essential oils and the flower essences and then place with the shadow points and then test again. And I make sure that the muscle goes weak, which means shadow is not active in her. And with my own experiences, when I first went to Igia to learn the orchid essences, I was struggling with the outer shadow, and the smell of unpleasant smell had been sticking around me all the time. And when Dr. Adrian Brito Babapule walked on me on the couch, and just after he gave me the Shadow Warrior essence, my headache was gone, and I had headache and cold before that, and so my headache was gone, my cold was much better, and I was awake. So that is my my own experience. Sorry, but so I know how shadow affects us. So this is how I work on my clients.
Yeah, that is so important. And something similar, you know, we all have our methodology. When I'm doing healing work, I get a client to what I call neutral. So I check a number of acupressure points and I bring all 5 levels of their being into neutral first. So I'm going to be clearing the issues on the surface so that I can go deeper in once a person's in neutral and their shadow is not in charge, then I can look more deeply at what's really going on and help them to resolve this issue.
Yeah.
But again, you know, being compassionate, again, you know, we all have this shadow, you know,
Yeah, we did.
it's part of the human experience. So, but we really just want to make sure that our shadow is not in charge. Because one of the ways you can tell if your shadow's in charge, if you're in a tremendous amount of physical or mental pain, mental emotional pain, I would say that you're really struggling with the shadow. What would you say about that, Junko?
Yes, sometimes people have for example, headache on the left side, and then maybe that is because of the shadow. And so I just give drops of the shadow area, and then the headache will be gone. And then there is a case it may more headache. Then in that case, I give more drops, the same number of the drops again, and then the headache will be gone. So yeah, it depends on the person how they react with the shadows. Sometimes people do not have any headache, but they feel something heavy in them, and then they know something is happening in them. So that's the shadow, that's the work of the shadow, I think. So we really need to take it away from our clients.
And that's a pretty powerful testimonial. If someone's had a headache for some time and you can give them a few drops of a flower essence that clears their shadow and boom, their headache's gone. That's very powerful. Now, we talked about our favorite essential oils. What are your favorite living tree orchid essences? That may be a tough question, but what's your favorites?
My favorite is Spiral of Light and Redemption Dream, and I like Blue Angel.
Okay, and what do those flower essences do for us?
Right, Spiral of Light here. This connects us to our original source, and it goes into our galaxy. And I feel really good when I use it. And so sometimes I feel like I'd like to go back to the galaxy, but it's not the time yet. So yes, this essence makes me very feeling good. And Redemption Dream is about soul contracts. And we all have soul contracts. We decide what to do before we came to the earth. So, but many people forget about it. And this essence will help us to remember it. And Blue Angel is also connects with our source. And how to say, it's very cleansing, and it takes out our imprint also to bring back on our own souls. And it is a beautiful energy, very cleansing, very gentle, very how to say, yeah, just a beautiful energy. So I really like it.
Yeah, and I'll throw in some of my favorite orchid essences, Angelic Canopy.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the orchid essences are, of course, made from orchids. And the orchid that makes that essence, I have a photograph of that framed over my bed, because when you take angelic canopy, or it's also available in a spray, you feel like you're surrounded by angels. And I love being in grace. It balances the kidney meridian and clears out old emotional garbage, is a good one. Soul Shield Plus, I feel, is a very important essence for our time. A lot of people really need, a lot of very sensitive, empathic people need psychic protection. They need to have better psychic boundaries. And Soul Shield Plus helps you to stay in your own energy. Any others that you can think of that you really want to call out? I mean, they're all so wonderful. And of course, everybody is, you're going to, each person's unique. And you're going to need different ones. Another one that I like a lot is Light of My Eye, which helps open and balance our third eye. So, sometimes people tell me, well, I want to be more clairvoyant and I want to open my psychic vision. And I'll say, take Light of My Eye. Any others that you want to call out as being especially wonderful?
Yes. Sleep of Peace is a family essence in my family. And my father and my sister, they cannot sleep well, and then they just love to take the Sleep of Peace so that they feel a very peaceful sleep, even for a short time. And yeah, they like it very much. And also I really like Just Me. Yeah, it centers us, and the essence tells us that it is okay to be me. I really like that. And I also like Dragonfire. It gives us a really good yang energy, and oh, you have got it there. Yes. And actually it's Dragon Mask I like, sorry. And Dragon Mask gives us how do I say, very vibrant live energy, and quite positive also. And so when we feel a bit nervous of something, I take it and I like it.
And you bring up something really important, because I think one of the most common issues that I deal with, and I'm sure you deal with also, is adrenal burnout, and where people are just exhausted. And you have to understand, again, that if you're feeling exhausted all the time, again, you're not resolving these core emotions, and you're oftentimes letting your shadow be in charge, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And, what would you recommend for people in adrenal burnout?
Usually I recommend them to take New Vitality. Yes, it's an easy one to use. But also Serene Power, or which one? Yeah, maybe those two, or Vital Lift sometimes.
Vital Lift, yeah. One of my 8 books is called Unlimited Energy Now, because again, so many people are really struggling to maintain their energy. So again, as you learn how to keep your energy more balanced, you can have more sustained energy throughout the day, and that's going to help you do whatever you do. So Junko Terayama in Kobe, Japan. And Junko, will you share with everyone your website again?
My website is healingorchid.jp, healing orchid as singular.
So Junko, very talented aromatherapist and flower essence practitioner, currently studying homeopathy, and also trained therapeutic energy kinesiology therapist. Thank you so much for listening, and remember that some of the most powerful natural healing remedies are made from flowers. Essential oils and flower essences can literally change your life. This is Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 bestselling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. Thanks so much for listening, and remember, you can change your life with natural healing.